Hi, and welcome to Making Skeletons Occur, Part 2, Ammonia and Hide Beetles. Last week, we put bird skeletons in the beetles so they would eat all the flesh off. This week, we're taking the birds out of the beetles and putting them in jars with ammonia to degrease the skeletons and loosen the tendons. What we have here is a bird that we have removed from the freezer, which is where we put the birds and the beetles last week to kill off any adult beetles. Now what we've done is we've retrieved them and we're going to place them in bottles with ammonia. However, previous to that, we have to sort through the dead beetles, the beetle dung, and the sawdust to get the skeletons out. Firstly, you want to remove the obvious skeletal parts from the rest of the detritus, which is unnecessary for our archiving. One of the first differences you have to learn when you're doing skeletal recovery is knowing the difference between the hide beetle and the bird talon. Sometimes this can be a difficult delineation, considering the shape of the beetle larva and the shape of the bird talon. Some of the bones are more obvious to find, like the skull and the femur and the humerus. However, talons amongst debris can sometimes prove very difficult. We had a man earlier whose name was Ted, and you could find the talons in any sort of debris. We nicknamed him Talon Ted. He thought it was pretty funny. Once you've sorted your debris from your skeletal fragments, noting even the smallest phalange, as will be important when you are trying to reassemble the skeletons later, you can dispose of the debris. But you'll want to put the skeletal fragments into a jar. As you clean the jar, you want to make sure that any and all debris from previous administrations of skeletal cataloging are clear from the bottle. I choose to use a paper towel at getting rid of the debris. Make sure in between cleaning and washing that you turn off the water, because we don't want to waste water. Once you've cleaned your bottle from any other previous debris, you want to place all the skeletal fragments into the bottle. This bottle should have enough depth that you can also put in ammonia and water, as we shall have to do later. Now that you got your skeleton in a bottle, you want to fill it 1/10 full with ammonia. This is an all-purpose cleaner that can be irritating, and it certainly is. So you want to fill it 1/10 full of this all-purpose cleaner, and then fill the rest of it full with water. This will loosen some of the cartilage and some of the tendons, so it will be easier to take them apart later. Often, there are not lids for all your bottles. I have found that this laboratory film made by Parafilm is very good at covering these bottles without lids. I think it's kind of funny that this is called laboratory film, because that's sort of what we're making. what you want to do is place it over top the jar opening, and you want to push down as to cover and seal the bottle. After emptying the bottles of ammonia and water, you are free to disassemble the skeletons. The skeletons should be subsequently numbered. This numbered is 23449. You must write it incredibly small as to take up as little space as possible to make bone examination as fruitful as possible. After you place all the bones into a container, generally the small size available for the bones as to cut down on archival space, you should label it with all the pertinent data and place that in a box. Numbering the bones is important because if you're examining two subjects, often the bones can get intermixed and people will get confused which one you're using. This particular one would be sad if we got confused, because this is a Tringa solitaria cinnamomia, a rare species to this area, that this particular one is not rotted, but they could find no gonads. This is gonna be funny. Now that we're done numbering and boxing our skeletons, we can put it into the drawers for archiving. Because we used a box of small size, it'll be much easier to fit in with all the rest of the boxes. Thank you for tuning in. Next week we'll be examining archival technology and its impact on your specimens.
Dropping the new science, and I've been kicking the new knowledge.
And I see to a degree that you can't get in college.
Now the dregs
Of the earth
and the eggs that I eat, I got
pegs through my
hands,
and one through my
feet, shade, stadium, the radium,
E and D squared.
kicked out of the palladium. Should think that I